process, difficult process to be implemented. I've seen this a lot with managers, seeing something like a scorecard. Yeah, this is something I really need. And they decide to buy BI. And that's it, thinking about that they will get this result. No, it's a long process. So analysts, for example, get Excel data. They might use a tool called ProClarity. I'm not going to discuss this tool right now. Performance point server, which some of you might be. Mike. Okay, so this is for analysts, but even your workers can benefit from the BI solution. I mean, something like this. This is a report done by reporting services. This is not easy to be implemented, with your regular OLTP data. This is a difficult report if you're talking about OLTP data. So, for example, Australia, and what are these? The states within Australia, the time, and here the sales that I get for this whole table. Now, again, why do I need this? Ask the workers and they will tell you. This is really important for these guys. So I can do this with OLTP? Yes, you can. But again, if it's a small database, no problem. If it's a big database, then it starts to get really different. So other people who might need it is other companies. There are some companies, I've actually worked with companies who sell their BI solutions. They sell it to other companies. So tools that can be used by BI is simply, since most of you are .NET developers, you can create your .NET application to read from the BI solution and display the data. Once the BI solution is there, you don't need to create all of this headache. Okay, it should be just there in the BI and you just read it. There are many other tools. Again, this is not the time to discuss these tools. I'm just explaining about BI before showing you how it really works. Data warehousing. A lot of people, when they imagine BI, they imagine data warehousing. A data warehouse is, let's make it simple. This is your OLTP database, right? Your financial database. And here I have the HR database. And I have some other databases scattered all over my company. What do I need to do? What I need to do is to gather all this data into some central locations, like in banks. Let's make it simple. In banks, you know that banks have branches, right? Can you imagine the amount of data they have? It's really huge, right? Imagine that they gather all of this data at some point into a central location. Why do they do this, actually? For analysis. I mean, you should be, I'm not sure if you have noticed this, but go to your bank website. Try and search for your statements before 6 months. Some banks 1 year. It won't give you the result. It will actually give you only the results for the last 6 months, or let's say 1 year. If you need more, you have to go to the bank, right? Do you know what this means? I mean, the first thing I imagined at that time when I had this problem is simply because you are now searching in the OLTP database, in the working database. While if you need more data, this is in a separate location that you need to get. So they gather data into somewhere else, a data warehouse, a big place, and the data over there, is it in the same format? Do you think it's the same table? What do they do exactly when moving the data from here to there? Simply, they denormalize data. Yes. Why do we normalize data, by the way?
Performance, fast access to data.
Faster access? Actually, no. Usually,
reduce redundancy.
Exactly. To reduce redundancy. We don't want duplicate data, right? We don't want to say customer and then in the country say Saudi Arabia 1,000 times, right? Or more. So that's why we create it in a separate place. Now, The OLTP databases are optimized for use by normalized databases, which means even if this means that, okay, the data is not as fast to access, but it tries to minimize this. Because you are thinking about insert, update, and delete, and also thinking about selects. That's the problem. While in a data warehouse, what you think of is only, right, you're just selecting, right? Getting the data. So denormalizing the data would be a good point at this step. So what you do is you gather all your data to a data warehouse in a denormalized fashion. And people think that this is BI. No. BI is an extension of data warehouse. This is only a step towards BI. Yes, to get a BI solution, the first thing you should think about is warehouse, data warehousing. This is true. A good example is this database. If you have installed SQL Server 2008 or R2, you would see, and by the way, you could go and download, it doesn't come with AdventureWorks database, but you can go and install it from the CodePlex website. So what you do is you will find a database other than AdventureWorks called DW, Data Warehouse. Let me show you a quick example of what this database looks like. We'll talk about the data mining, by the way, today, inshallah. So let me access the database engine. And I already have the AdventureWorks installed here. This is the data warehouse for AdventureWorks. So for example, you will see something called dim, which is for dimension. I'll explain what dimensions are. This is just a table name. Huh? We're still like in tables and the normal SQL stuff. And you have other tables called fact. What is the difference between fact tables and dimensions tables? This is, I will explain this more later in future slides, but for now, imagine this. Fact table is the main table. And dimensions are just other tables. Huh? They link together like a star. Hence the term called star schema. Huh? So you have a fact table and a lot of dimensions linked to this fact table. Fact tables are the important ones. Like for example, the easiest example is fact internet sales. This table. Fact internet sales. Let's just try and view. I'm not sure if it will be very clear for you. But for example, I mean, you can see that this is just a normal table. Product key. Do you know what this is linked to? Dimension product, right? A table called dimension product, and you will find it here. So this is the key to this table. Order key, order date. This is denormalized, right? Yeah. It's not the normalization that you are used to. As you can see, the order number and stuff, revision, quantity, unit price. It's the same data that you will find in AdventureWorks, but in a denormalized fashion. So that's what we mean by a data warehouse. By the way, you will also hear some people saying data mart. Do you know what the difference between a data mart and a data warehouse is? Size. Simply, exactly. Size is a good question, a good answer. It's scope usually. Because a data warehouse is something so big that it, for example, controls everything for the enterprise. Imagine like Microsoft, the complete Microsoft. While data marts are like small data warehouses for small divisions. So for example, I can have a data mart for my financial solution. Okay? And another data mart for the HR. In the future, I could link these two into a big data warehouse. By the way, you will hear some people telling you that this is a bad solution. You should start with a big data warehouse and everything inside. From my experience, no. I always prefer to start with small data marts. Because usually it fails. When it gets too big, it fails. It takes too long to see a result. Therefore, the management will simply cancel the whole project. Okay, so starting with the data mart is a good idea. But still, you can call it a data warehouse. By the way, also in analysis services or in BI, we usually call a data warehouse a cube, because a data warehouse is a database. We read it into something called